Well, it was a win, and once the second half got rolling, it turned into a dominant win last night at Arrowhead Stadium. Chiefs beat the Commanders 28-7. Kendall Gammon here to break it all down. Brought to you by Xfinity. Sports are unpredictable. The price of your internet should not be. Introducing the 5-year price guarantee. One consistent internet price for 5 years. No annual contracts guaranteed. Well, Kendall, what impressed you most about last night and that game at Arrowhead Stadium?
You know what? I think it's a little thing, which is things just weren't going well in the first half for the Chiefs. And the fact that they stuck with it. And, Andy said after the game how that first half was kind of weird because you had turnovers and no punts by them, and yet the score was still 0-0 for the longest time. And you know what? I just think the fact that they stayed with it, and I mean, it was kind of, I don't know what you thought, Pete. It was kind of a little bit of an ugly game, but at one point in time, they did score the Chiefs, 4 straight times to put it handily out of reach. Anytime you beat a team by 21 points. But I think a lot of people don't feel great about it, but we didn't talk about it, but you could make the argument that this was a little bit of a trap game considering that they're going to Buffalo this next week.
Well, that's exactly what it felt like. But then once they kind of woke up at halftime, it's like not only did they have those 3 straight touchdown drives in the second half, all those drives were at least 75 yards. And the defense in that second half gave up drives of 25 yards, 17 yards, 1 yard, and then they had an interception. So it's like you can't ask for more out of both sides of the ball in that second half. And that's where you got to be encouraged, Kendall, right?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I joke about it, though. You can't ask for more unless you're a Chiefs fan and you've been to the last 3 Super Bowls and you're used to, different things. But, I jest about it, but it is. They're playing good football. They're playing as good a football as anybody in the NFL right now. And you mentioned it, those 3 straight drives, and not only how they did it, I mean, what they did, but how they did it, keeping that defense of the Commanders on the field so very long. I mean, a lot of cool things. Kelsey, nice day, 6 receptions, 99 yards. He moves into a tie with Priest Holmes for 83 total touchdowns. And I bring that up because I want to bring up the fact that Mahomes is so aware of everything that he goes down and chases the ball that Kelsey caught because he knows the significance of it and makes sure, as he said, he wanted to make sure that Kelsey had that ball because he had tied the record. And, of course, we'll get it at some point this year. And that just continues. It shouldn't sound me anymore because he's just aware of everything.
I don't know if you played, Kendall, with any teammate that was either on the verge of breaking a franchise record or an NFL record or anything like that, but how aware are the guys around that, and how much do you try to bring that up, or do you try not to talk about it?
You know what? If we're aware of it generally, and I don't remember, Pete, any specific, but in general, with what's going on, oftentimes we're not really aware of many stats. The press makes us aware, and rightly so, because they're trying to write stories and have storylines and everything. But for the most part, when I've been around guys, they're not aware of it. And I think we do have some history of, Kelsey not being aware of a lot of different records that he's broken, and then being very nonchalant about it. I mean, he appreciates it, and he's trying to do everything he can, but he truly doesn't care, which is impressive.
I agree with you there, and that's what's a lot of fun to watch. The respect that Patrick Mahomes seems to, we know he's got it for Travis, but he was even talking about Travis setting the tone for the franchise over the last decade, along with Andy Reid. And to me, as much as we talk about Travis and Taylor and that relationship and whether or not he's over the hill, you look on the last 10 years or so, and he really is the heart and soul of this franchise. So how do you deal with a guy that may be in his last year? I mean, he even talked about it after the game with Scott Van Pelt. This may be it. I think most people think it is it. But how do you walk that fine line of knowing one of your stars may be heading out the door after this season and try to make sure that what he brings to the table, not just on the field but off the field, stays as a key component within the franchise?
You know what? I think you don't do anything different. If he's good enough to play, he plays. If he's not, he doesn't. Obviously, he is good enough, and he's doing some good things. This is a guy that I don't think is going to try to hang on and be a backup and get a few more checks. He's fine money-wise, obviously. But I don't know. I think you just operate as usual. And I say it all the time when I speak, which is, be in the moment, be here, be where your feet are. Yeah, you do have to pay attention to where you've come from and where you're going. But the only thing you can really control is the here and now. And I think that's what he's doing.
If you look at this team right now, they are 5-3, Kendall, and I think most people would say, hey, if they win that game in Jacksonville, which they had every opportunity to, they're 6-2. That 2-game losing streak to start the season's a distant memory, but they're still, 1 game back of Denver at this point, going to Buffalo this weekend. When you think about this first half of the season, which is more or less over at this point with 17 games, how would you evaluate the Chiefs the first half of the season? And if you had to give it a grade, what would it be?
Certainly not an A because of the rocky start and some of the things that they've lost when they had a chance to win. I'm going to go like a B-. I mean, it's above average. It's not great. It's not as good as they can do. They decided a few times to, quote unquote, not do their homework, and they lost those games. I say that. I'm talking about myself in high school. But all the same, when it comes down to it, I'd say a B-. But right now they're playing, in above an A level, not A plus, because nothing's perfect. But they're playing, like I said earlier, as well as anybody in the NFL.
This 3-game stretch at Buffalo, at Denver, who's in first place, home to the Colts. What would you sign up for over that 3-game stretch, Kendall, to feel good about it?
Yeah, I think if you're 2-1, you feel good about it. You certainly can't go 0-3. That would be a debacle. But I think it's 2-1. But I think we also have the ability to go 3-0 because of just who the Chiefs are. The only people that I think are going to stop the Chiefs is themselves because they have the talent on both sides of the ball. And so this will be a good test for them, no doubt.
And who concerns you more right now in the AFC West? The Broncos, who are in first place, or the Chargers, who are tied with the Chiefs at 5-3, 1 game back of the AFC West?
I think it's probably the Broncos. I think they're playing well. But I don't know. They've got a good defense, a good young quarterback. Sean Payton has got him going, and they're just doing a lot of good things. And that was a pretty convincing win over the Cowboys. I know the Cowboys aren't what they used to be, but 44-24, you put that many points up on the board, you're doing something right.
All right, Kendall, we'll get set for the big game at Buffalo coming up on Friday morning. We'll have you back on the show 3 times this week. And last thing, the preparation on a short week like this. You come back on Tuesday to the facilities. You got to go on the road this weekend. I mean, this is a tough 7-game stretch here. What does it look like in that facility when you got to have a week like this crammed into 2 games in 7 days and going on the road?
Well, for the most part, you just want to make sure you have your legs under you. So they won't go full pads, I doubt, and it'll be a lot of glorified walkthrough. They'll run a little bit of full speed stuff, but in general, the big thing is getting everybody healthy and ready to go. And as you mentioned, it is a tough week, not only because it's a short week, but then you're going on the road, so you kind of lose a little bit of a day there. You're exactly right. So yeah, this is a tough stretch, but they've done things like this before, so it's not new territory for them.
Yeah, and they got the bye week coming up after this game, which I got to imagine, as a player, man, let's be honest, you're looking forward to that bye week, and that gives you maybe a little extra motivation going into the game, no?
Oh, there's absolutely no doubt about it. I remember that for sure. And you never want to go into a bye week on a loss. So you want to get that going so you can enjoy yourself. Big Red, Andy Reid, the head coach for the Chiefs, always gives them several days off, and rightly so. And so there's a carrot out there dangling, no doubt.
That's great. All right, Kendall, we'll talk to you on Friday morning. Thanks so much.
Okay, you bet.
All right, Kendall Gammon on KCMO.